Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody in your family? How's your aunts, your uncles, your grandma, your grandpa? Guys, it's time for another Jacksonville video, and this one is going to be about the economy. Now, before we go any further, if you're new to the channel or new to these videos, I'm making up all this stuff off the top of my head. So just so you know, before you get too deep into it, what you're in for. So now we've been focusing on Jacksonville this week, and this particular video is going to talk about the economy. Now, why is the economy so robust in Jacksonville? Well, you have a lot of influences. You have a agricultural community around the city. You have the city itself, which is a center for the northwest part of the state and kind of more or less that part of the southwest, United States, southeast United States, and you have the ocean. And the ocean brings with it, of course, boats and ships and people on those little sunfish that overestimated their sailing ability and went out to sea and spent 4 or 5 days without food or water and had to be rescued by the Coast Guard. So what specifically, though, within those umbrellas of general industries and economic areas is Jacksonville known for? Well, first of all, this is interesting because at least here in Los Angeles, and I toured around the country for a couple months last fall, and I saw it in various cities. A lot of people are going gluten-free. Now, studies showed that most people that are gluten-free don't need to be. That really gluten-free only applies if your body is affected by gluten, but most people aren't. So in a way, it's kind of a farce. But hey, if we counted up all of the things that we do out of the story we've told ourselves about that thing, then rather than the actual facts, then we wouldn't leave the house. So I don't get all worked up about it. But the question then is, where do all these glutens go when they are released by the food products? And okay, so Jacksonville took an early lead in alerting the rest of the world that they could send their glutens to Jacksonville where they would be protected and raised. And that's exactly what's happening. There's a big gluten farm outside of Jacksonville where they raise glutens that have been released by food manufacturers and farmers and other people in the food chain across the world. And they do have visitors days, and you can take a tram. They have a sky, one of those sky trams, a gondola, you know what I mean, that goes over the park. It's almost like an amusement park, but really it's for education, and it's so that people can visit glutens should they want to and wonder what happened to all these glutens. People are going gluten-free, but what about the glutens themselves? And Jacksonville is taking the lead there. Big ups to J-Town. Now, of course, it's a big banking area, and the reason being because people are gambling on cricket flipping. Now, cricket flipping goes way back to the very early days of the city when they would sit around the campfire and tell stories of the old days in Europe. But then after that, it got kind of quiet. So somebody said, hey, how about we flip them crickets? How about we flip them crickets right over there? And it started a new sport and industry. And Jacksonville being the founding location and the headquarters of cricket flipping around the world. So that's why cricket flipping wagering is so big. It's the Las Vegas of cricket flipping, and that's why you have so many financial institutions in Jacksonville, because a lot of that money that is coming into the city comes in through sports wagering, specifically cricket flipping. Now, cricket flipping has seen a resurgence, and there's a big push to make it an Olympic sport. And you might say, well, that's going to cut down on wagering, but no, that actually will raise the profile of the sport around the globe, especially in the country, and therefore people will wager on it as, first of all, it's something fresh and new. A lot of people still haven't heard of it, even though it's hundreds of years old. And second of all, there's a lot of action. You know, a lot of these sports, baseball, for example, it's fun. It's a great place to spend the day, but let's be honest, there's not a lot of action. soccer or proper football, whatever you want to call it, sometimes the score is like 1-0. So you sit there through the whole 60 minutes or whatever it is, and you get one goal. Whereas cricket flipping is very high scoring and frankly can get a little pushy shovey, a little contact. It's a non-contact sport, but basketball is supposed to be a non-contact sport. We know how that goes. Elbows flying and angers flaring. So some of the biggest cricket flippers in the world, you got Wiley Schmidtowski out of Augusta. You've got Hank William Flipperson out of Sarasota, and a lot of these cats come from the southeast, as you can imagine, specifically Florida and Georgia, because that's where it all kind of started happening. So that is a big reason for all of these banks. You might drive around downtown and you go, gang dang, look at all these banks out here. Okay, you got the Badlantic Bank, you got the Florida Natty Bank, you got the Clarinet Bank, all right? And man, all those, you got the NoFi Bank. I mean, how many? You got the Dusk Bank, the Day Bank, the Night Bank. Look at all these banks, man. You got the Sidewalk Chalk Bank, the Sidewalk Chalk Bank. This is I don't know. That must be a credit union. I don't know. And then, of course, you got the international banks. You got the German Hat Bank. You got the Australian Deadly Poisonous Snake Bank. And, wow, you got the Italian Marble Bank. Look at all these banks. You got the South African Soccer Bank. Guys, you got banks at the Yin Yang in Jacksonville. Well, look, I mean, I've said it many times. People don't realize how vibrant Jacksonville is and how old the city is. So when you're old and you start a sport like cricket flipping in the 1500s and it grows over hundreds of years, well, so do the banks. In fact, you can go into some of these banks and you might catch the president of the bank flipping crickets on his desk. And I say his, it might be a her on her desk. Okay? Women have made great strides in Jacksonville in the corporate world, and Jacksonville's known for that. In fact, they had 5 former mayors that were women. And if you look at the economic patterns over time, the economy went up during the female administrations and went down during the male administrations, mainly because they were losing money, cricket flipping and losing. Now, it's fun to cricket flip if you win, but if you lose, well, everybody loves a winner. Loser has many, what's the saying? Success has many fathers, but losing is lonely, something like that. All right, so now, what about other things that are related to the banks, like, say, credit unions, savings and loans, support services, payday loans, guy in the street lending money, the La Cosa Nostra, all these different money lenders and money changers and the money economy are all interconnected in a big casual web that, even though Jacksonville is a growing, vibrant city, it's still a small town at heart. And with one phone call, most of the city leaders can make things happen. And that's one thing, a way I heard of best was you can put your arms around Jacksonville, right? You can put your arms around it. Whereas New York City, you try to put your arms around it, and basically you haven't even got your hands past the 180-degree mark, right? And you're suffocating in the expansive body that is New York City. You're being suffocated, whereas it's much more manageable in Jacksonville. So look, if somebody wants to get a building built, if they want to get a sidewalk paved, if they want to get a road tunnel to their mansion, they just make one phone call, and then all of a sudden worker bees are making things happen. That's how it works in Jacksonville. Now, that can be to your detriment, because if you cross the wrong person, you might get a visit in the middle of the night from some shadowy figures. All right? And they're going to take you out into your own garage and say, let's see you flip some crickets. And if you don't show some skill, that says you're from out of town, in town to do some ne'er-do-well, to do some dastardly deeds. And they're going to, they might take out a garden hose filled with pop rocks and make you pour those Pop Rocks right in your mouth and wait till they all explode and see the sad look on your face. If you don't know what Pop Rocks are, guys, if you're too young, I suggest you get on the Google machine and take a search, because it's a sad state of affairs when you see somebody's face after when they down a mouthful of Pop Rocks. They feel like their head exploded right off their body. So again, that's the benefit of a larger market, and also the benefit of one that's not too large. Okay, you can make things happen. You can make people disappear. Okay, you can get projects off the ground quickly, and if they don't work, nobody cares, because they're moving so fast in Jacksonville. They understand failure as part of the process of winning. Well, guys, I hope that gives you a kind of a quick look at the economy and the banking going on in this vibrant city, this growing city of Jacksonville, that people are rediscovering, let's be honest, especially the youngsters, the hipsters. Why? Because they want to live in a city. They don't want to live in the suburbs. They just don't. Now, maybe when they get older and they have kids, and the kids are like, I don't have anywhere to ride my big wheel. Where am I going to ride my skateboard? I'm going to get hit by a truck. And then they move out to the suburbs and they lose all touch with reality. You know, the next thing you know, all they know about the world, they're seeing through the lens of their cable TV. Well, let's be honest, that's not what's going on in real America, but there it is. All right, they're trying to give their kids a safe place to ride the skateboard and probably a decent education. All right, so that Johnny can read, write, do arithmetic, and flip some crickets. You gotta flip some crickets, Johnny. How else are you gonna pay for our retirement? You gotta be a cricket flipping pro, and get on the cricket flipping pro league and make millions of dollars, Johnny. That's just how it's gonna go down. I mean, that's a parent talking to their kid, I think. All right, guys, I hope that helps. Come on back. We got so many more videos. We kind of rushed through this one, but man, my schedule is so heavy today. But I wanted to get you guys this information. Everybody's clamoring for it. If you have any questions, comments, or otherwise, leave them here on the YouTuber or on the Tweeter machine. Joe Ditzel on the Tweeter machine. And of course, all of this was made up off the top of my head. I hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you soon.